The darkening sky. In the year 2100, Earth was a very different place. The sky, once blue and bright, was now darkened by thick clouds. These clouds were not natural. They were a sign of the danger that loomed above. The Vraxans, a brutal alien race, had come to Earth. They were relentless, attacking cities and destroying everything in their path. Fear spread like wildfire among the people. Commander Alex Rourke, a strong and determined leader, was in charge of the Earth's defenses. He was known for his bravery, but even he felt the weight of despair pressing down on him. As he stood on the rooftop of a crumbling building in what used to be downtown New York City, Rourke looked out over the ruins. The buildings were half destroyed, and the streets were empty. Once bustling shops and cafes were now nothing but memories. He could see the smoke rising from different parts of the city, a grim reminder of the battles they had fought. Rourke took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. He knew they had to fight back, but the odds were against them. The Vraxans were powerful. They had advanced technology and a fierce determination to conquer Earth. Rourke had watched as his fellow soldiers fell in battle, their cries echoing in his mind. Each loss felt like a knife in his heart. But he was a leader, and he could not show weakness. He had to inspire his men and women to stand strong, even when everything seemed lost. Suddenly, a voice crackled over the radio. It was Sergeant Jenna Hale, Rourke's trusted second-in-command. "Commander Rourke, we have a situation," she said, urgency lacing her words. "The scouts reported a Vraxan fleet approaching from the north. They are getting closer." Rourke's stomach dropped. "How far out are they?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "About 10 miles. We need to prepare our defenses now," Jenna replied. Rourke nodded, feeling the pressure building inside him. "Gather the troops. We need to form a plan. We can't let them reach the city." As Jenna moved to gather the soldiers, Rourke turned to face the darkening sky once more. He knew that today would be a turning point for humanity. They could not allow fear to control them. The Vraxans had already taken so much, but they could not take their spirit. In the command center, soldiers gathered around Rourke. They were tired and scared, but determination shone in their eyes. Rourke addressed them, his voice strong and clear. "Listen up. We are facing a grave threat, but we are not alone. We are humanity. We have faced challenges before, and we have always come out stronger. The Vraxans want to take our home, our lives, but they will not succeed." The soldiers cheered, their voices echoing off the walls. Rourke could see the spark of hope in their eyes. They needed to believe in themselves as much as he believed in them. "Today, we will show them the strength of humanity. We will fight back." Rourke continued, raising his fist in the air. "They may have numbers, but we have heart. Let's prepare for battle." As the soldiers moved to their positions, Rourke felt a sense of pride. He knew they would fight for each other and for everyone they had lost. They were a family, united in their struggle. Outside, the winds picked up, whipping through the empty streets. Rourke could feel the tension in the air as the Vraxan fleet drew closer. The sky was dark, but he could see the faint outlines of ships in the distance. They were coming, and Rourke's heart raced at the thought of the impending battle. As the first explosions lit up the sky, Rourke took a deep breath. This was it. The fight for Earth had begun. The dark clouds above were a reminder of their enemy, but they were also a challenge. Rourke would not let fear control him or his team. They would face the Vraxans with everything they had, no matter the cost. With a final glance at the darkening sky, Rourke made his way to the command center. He had a plan to form a new unit of soldiers, enhanced humans who could turn the tide of the battle. But he also knew that these enhancements would come with a price. Each soldier would have to confront their inner demons. As the battle began, Rourke thought of the recruits he would need. He envisioned soldiers who could channel their fears into strength. He believed that they could harness their inner power and fight against the darkness. Humanity had endured too much to give up now. In that moment, Rourke understood something vital. The Vraxans were not just fighting humanity. They were fighting the very spirit that made humans who they were. He vowed to protect that spirit with everything he had. As the sounds of war echoed through the air, Rourke felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was ready to lead his team into battle, to fight for Earth and for every life that mattered. No matter the challenges ahead, he would ensure that humanity would not only survive but thrive. Today, they would begin to reclaim their home. Today, they would show the universe what they were truly made of, the unseen darkness. As the explosions rocked the city, Commander Alex Rourke felt the ground tremble beneath his feet. Smoke filled the air, obscuring his vision, but he could still hear the cries of his soldiers as they braced for the onslaught. The Vraxans were known for their ruthlessness, and today they intended to make a statement. Rourke could see the dark shapes of their ships overhead, looming like harbingers of doom. Inside the command center, the atmosphere was tense. Rourke and his team gathered around a holographic map of the battlefield. Sergeant Jenna Hale pointed at various flashing red dots representing the approaching Vraxan forces. "They're moving fast, Commander. We have little time to prepare," she said, her voice steady but laced with urgency. Rourke nodded, his mind racing. "We need to split our forces. Half will defend the city while the other half disrupts their landing. We can't let them establish a foothold here." "Understood. I'll organize the troops," Jenna replied, already moving to relay orders. Just then, Corporal Mike Tran, one of the younger soldiers, raised his hand hesitantly. "What about the enhancements you mentioned earlier? Are we really going to use them?" Rourke turned to face Mike. The corporal's face was a mixture of fear and curiosity. "Yes," Rourke said firmly, "but only the bravest among you will undergo this procedure. It will give you strength, speed, and resilience. But remember, it comes with risks. You must face the demons inside you." The room fell silent as the soldiers processed his words. Rourke knew this was a heavy burden to bear, but it was necessary. They were fighting an enemy that seemed unstoppable, and they needed every advantage they could muster. "Those who wish to take on the challenge will have my support," he added, looking at each soldier in the room. "But if you choose not to, I will respect your decision. The fight is not just about strength. It's about heart and courage." A murmur spread through the group. Many exchanged glances, weighing their options. Finally, Mike spoke up again. "I want to do it, Commander. I'm ready to fight for my family and friends." One by one, the other soldiers began to nod in agreement. Rourke felt a surge of hope. "Then let's prepare. We will face the Vraxans together." With renewed determination, the soldiers moved quickly, gathering their gear and preparing for battle. The command center buzzed with activity as Rourke and his team finalized their plans. Outside, the sounds of war intensified, echoing through the crumbling streets of New York City. As the last of the preparations were made, Rourke took a moment to gather his thoughts. He knew the Vraxans would come at them with everything they had. They were savage and ruthless, and they wouldn't hesitate to kill anyone who stood in their way. But Rourke was determined. He would fight for his people and show the galaxy that humanity would not be easily defeated. With the soldiers ready, Rourke gathered them for one last briefing. "Today, we stand on the brink of history. The Vraxans may think they can break us, but they have underestimated our resolve. We will not be consumed by fear. We will fight back. Together, we will show them that humanity has strength beyond their comprehension." The soldiers cheered, their voices filled with passion and determination. Rourke felt the fire within them grow, igniting his own resolve. They were no longer just soldiers. They were warriors ready to reclaim their world. As they moved into position, Rourke led the way. He felt the weight of the moment press against him. This was not just a battle for survival. It was a fight for the soul of humanity. He believed in them, and he hoped they would believe in themselves. The first wave of Vraxan ships descended from the sky, darkening the horizon. The metallic monsters unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, striking the ground and sending debris flying. Rourke raised his hand to signal the troops to take cover. They had prepared for this moment, and now was their chance to prove their worth. "On my command," Rourke shouted, his voice rising above the chaos. "Prepare to engage." As the soldiers readied their weapons, Rourke felt a surge of adrenaline. He was ready to fight, ready to face the darkness that threatened to consume them all. He was more than just a commander. He was a symbol of hope, and today he would lead his team into battle. Just as Rourke felt a surge of victory, he caught sight of a massive Vraxan ship looming overhead. Its ominous silhouette darkened the sky, and he knew this was just the beginning. "We need to take down that ship," he shouted to his soldiers. Jenna shot him a determined look. "We'll need a plan, Commander. We can't fight them head-on." Rourke nodded, already brainstorming their next move. "Let's regroup and assess our options. We can't lose sight of our goal. The city is counting on us." As they withdrew momentarily to gather their strength, Rourke took a moment to breathe. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. They were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the future of humanity. "Listen up, everyone," Rourke called, gathering his soldiers around him. "We've lost good people today, but we cannot let that define us. We must honor their sacrifice by continuing to fight." The soldiers nodded, their eyes filled with a mix of grief and determination. Rourke knew they were ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. "We'll hit that ship with everything we've got. Jenna, I need you to coordinate with the others and find a way to breach their defenses." "Got it, Commander," Jenna replied, already moving to rally the troops. With the battle still raging, Rourke took stock of their situation. They were battered, but not broken. The Vraxans had underestimated humanity, and he would ensure they would regret it. The demons inside them, the fears and doubts, would be met with resilience. As they prepared for the next phase of the fight, Rourke could feel the hope growing within him. They were Terrans, forged in fire, ready to rise against the darkness. Together, they would show the galaxy that humanity would endure. Today was just the first clash, and it would not be the last. With a fierce determination, Rourke led his team back into battle, ready to take the fight to the Vraxans. This was their world, and they would not let it slip away without a fight. The sky darkened above, but within their hearts, a flame burned bright, igniting the spirit of humanity in the face of despair. "You said, now," he roared, and the soldiers erupted into action. They charged forward, weapons blazing, determined to push back against the Vraxans. The battlefield became a chaotic dance of fire and destruction. Rourke fought alongside his soldiers, pushing through the storm of blasts and debris. He could see the Vraxans emerging from their ships, monstrous figures wielding cruel weapons. They were a terrifying sight, but Rourke knew that fear would not win this fight. The ground shook beneath their feet as explosions erupted around them. Rourke fought with everything he had, each strike fueled by the knowledge that they were fighting for their home, for their future. The demons inside him, the fears and doubts, were silenced by the roar of battle. As the fight raged on, Rourke felt a flicker of hope. Humanity would not be defeated. They would stand tall, even in the face of unimaginable darkness. Together, they would push back against the Vraxans and reclaim their world. This was only the beginning. Rourke knew that the battle would not be easy, but he was prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With the soldiers by his side, he felt invincible. They were the guardians of Earth, and they would not allow fear to take hold. Today, they would fight for their right to exist, to thrive, and to be free. The first clash. The battle raged on, fierce and chaotic. Commander Alex Rourke found himself amidst a whirlwind of gunfire and shouts. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid scent of burning debris. Each explosion sent shockwaves through the ground, reminding everyone that they were in a fight for their very existence. "Keep pushing forward," Rourke shouted, rallying his soldiers. They fought valiantly against the oncoming tide of Vraxan invaders, who descended from their ships with a ferocity that chilled Rourke's blood. The Vraxans, tall and menacing, moved like shadows among the ruins, their armored bodies glinting in the dim light. Rourke's heart raced as he took cover behind a crumbling wall. He peered around the corner and saw a group of Vraxans advancing on his position. They were armed with weapons that crackled with energy, their eyes glowing with a predatory hunger. "Jenna, over here," he yelled, gesturing for Surgeon Hale to join him. Hale dashed over, her expression fierce. "What's the plan, Commander?" "We need to create a diversion," Rourke said, pointing toward a cluster of Vraxans distracted by another skirmish. "If we can draw their attention, we might find a way to flank them." Jenna nodded, and they quickly devised a plan. Rourke knew that time was running out. The Vraxans would not hesitate to overrun them if they didn't act quickly. "On three," he whispered, gripping his weapon tightly. 1, 2, 3. They burst from their hiding spot, firing their weapons in unison. The sudden attack took the Vraxans by surprise, their heads snapping toward the sound of gunfire. Rourke and Hale pressed forward, forcing their way through the enemy lines. The soldiers behind them followed, inspired by their fearless leaders. As they fought, Rourke could hear the sounds of battle echoing all around. Soldiers were shouting, and the air was filled with the whirring of energy blasts. Rourke saw Corporal Mike Tran across the way, firing relentlessly at a group of Vraxans. "Keep it up, Mike," Rourke shouted, feeling a sense of pride in his team. But the battle was far from one-sided. A Vraxan warrior, taller and bulkier than the others, turned toward Mike and charged. Rourke's heart sank as he saw the danger. "Mike, watch out," he yelled, but the warning came too late. In a swift motion, the Vraxan swung its weapon, and Mike went down, his scream lost amid the chaos. Rourke's blood boiled. He could feel anger surging through him, a fierce fire igniting his resolve. "For Mike," he bellowed, and charged into the fray. With adrenaline pumping, Rourke fought harder than ever. He fired his weapon with precision, striking down Vraxans left and right. His soldiers rallied around him, driven by his unwavering determination. "Push forward. We will not let their darkness swallow us," he roared. The tide of battle seemed to shift, even if just slightly. Rourke's team fought with everything they had, their spirits ignited by the loss of their comrade. Every shot they fired was a tribute to Mike's bravery. Together, they pressed against the enemy, forcing the Vraxans back. A dangerous bargain. The battle had paused for a moment, and the Terrans regrouped behind the remnants of a once majestic building. The sound of distant explosions echoed through the air, but for now, they had a moment of respite. Commander Rourke looked around at his weary soldiers, feeling the weight of their shared loss. "We need to strategize," he said, his voice firm but tinged with urgency. "The Vraxans will be back, and we have to be ready for them. We can't keep fighting like this. We need a different approach." Sergeant Hale stepped forward, her brow furrowed with thought. "What about a diversion? If we can draw them away from their ship, it might give us a chance to attack." Rourke nodded, considering her suggestion. "That could work, but we need to ensure it's a big enough distraction to get their attention. We'll need to be quick and precise." Just then, Corporal Tran, still shaken from the earlier chaos, approached cautiously. "Commander," he said, his voice low, "I overheard something while scouting. They have a leader here, a commander. They call him. If we could get to him, it might turn the tide of the battle in our favor." Rourke raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "And how you propose we do that?" Tran hesitated, glancing around to see if anyone was listening. "I saw him near the edge of the city, coordinating their forces. If we could capture him, we could either use him as leverage or take him out to destabilize their command structure." Rourke contemplated this new information. A dangerous plan, but it might just work. "If we can take alive, we can negotiate from a position of strength." "But what if he doesn't cooperate?" Hale asked, concern etched on her face. "He could have information we need, but he might also be more trouble than he's worth." "True," Rourke replied, weighing the risks. "But we can't keep playing defense. We need to take the fight to them. If we can strike at the heart of their command, We stand a better chance of winning this war." The soldiers nodded, a sense of determination settling over them. They had lost too much already, and they were willing to take the risk. Rourke gathered his team, and they quickly devised a plan. With the sun beginning to set, casting a reddish hue over the battlefield, the team moved out, navigating through the shadows of the ruins. Rourke led the way, his heart pounding in his chest. They approached the area where Tran had seen, keeping low and silent. As they neared the edge of the city, the atmosphere grew tense. The distant sounds of battle faded, replaced by the chilling silence that surrounded them. Rourke signaled for everyone to halt, crouching behind a crumbling wall. "Okay, everyone, stay sharp," Rourke whispered, scanning the area ahead. In the dim light, he spotted several soldiers patrolling the perimeter. "It looks like they're on high alert. We need to find a way to create a distraction without drawing too much attention." Ale nodded, her eyes darting around. "I could set off a small explosive near their flank. It would cause enough chaos for us to slip in unnoticed." "Do it," Rourke replied, steeling himself for what lay ahead. As Hale prepared the explosive, Rourke's mind raced. What would he say to? Would the commander understand the futility of this war? Rourke had seen too many lives lost. He wanted to find a way to end the fighting. With a nod, Hale tossed the explosive, and a loud blast echoed through the air, sending soldiers scrambling in confusion. "Now, move," Rourke shouted, and they sprinted forward, taking advantage of the chaos. They dashed through the debris, their hearts racing with adrenaline. As they approached the enemy camp, they spotted Kragoth standing in the center, barking orders at his troops. He was larger than the other Varaxans, his presence imposing. Rourke signaled for his team to surround, weapons drawn. The commander turned, eyes narrowing as he assessed the situation. "You dare to attack me?" he growled, his voice deep and menacing. "Your fight is not with us," Rourke called out, trying to project confidence despite the fear gnawing at him. "We want to talk. We can end this, but you need to listen." Eyes flickered with intrigue and anger. "You humans are foolish to think you can bargain with me. You are weak. I have seen your kind crumble." "Then you're underestimating us," Rourke replied, stepping forward. "We are not just soldiers. We are survivors. We can bring you an offer that will benefit both our races. But you must stop this pointless slaughter." The tension in the air was palpable as considered Rourke's words. For a moment, it felt like the world had stopped. Would the commander accept their proposal, or would he see it as a threat? "Very well, human," finally said, his voice steady. "You have my attention. But know this. If you waste my time, it will be the last mistake you ever make." Rourke felt a surge of hope mixed with trepidation. They had taken a risk, but now it seemed they had a chance to turn the tide of this war. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, there was a flicker of possibility in the darkness. As they prepared to negotiate, Rourke knew that they were on the edge of something monumental. If they could find common ground, perhaps there was still a way to save both their worlds. But the real test lay ahead, and he was determined to face it head-on. The darkness that loomed over them might finally lift, and the light of hope would shine through. The negotiation. Rourke stood face to face with the imposing commander in a clearing surrounded by debris and the remnants of war. The air crackled with tension as the Terran soldiers formed a protective circle around their commander. The fate of their people, and possibly the hung in the balance. "Why should I trust you, human?" growled, his piercing eyes studying Rourke with a mix of curiosity and contempt. "Your kind has always been deceitful. Why should this time be any different?" Rourke took a deep breath, steadying himself. He needed to convey sincerity and strength. "I understand your skepticism, but we have lost too many lives already. This conflict serves no purpose other than destruction. Our people have endured, but the toll is too high." Expression remained stoic, but Rourke could see the flicker of interest in his gaze. "And what exactly do you propose?" Do you wish to surrender? You think I would let your kind walk away after all you've done? Rourke straightened, trying to project confidence. No, we don't wish to surrender. We want a truce. Let's work together to eliminate the real threat, the ones who manipulate both our races for their gain. We're not enemies. We've been pawns in a game we barely understand. The commander seemed to mull over Rourke's words. What do you know of our enemies? We have been fighting for ages, and you humans are a new variable in this equation. Rourke took a chance, hoping the risk would pay off. We've gathered intelligence. There are factions within the galaxy that see our conflict as an opportunity to exploit us both. They want us to destroy each other while they reap the benefits. If we join forces, we can uncover these conspirators and stop them before it's too late. Lips curled into a thin line, his expression unreadable. You are bold to make such claims. Prove your words. Show me you are not just spinning tales to save your own skin. Rourke motioned to his team, and Surgeon Hale stepped forward, holding a small device in her hand. We intercepted communications from a nearby outpost. These messages reveal plans to ambush both our forces. This shows that the threat is very real. Hale activated the device, projecting a holographic image into the air. Flickering lights and symbols danced before them, showing the layout of the ambush and the attacker's coordinates. Rourke could see eyes narrowing as he studied the information. This is no small matter, said, his voice low. You are correct in saying we have been manipulated, but how do I know this is not a trap? Rourke understood the risk of pushing too hard. You don't have to trust us completely right away. Let's work together to scout this out. If what we've shared is true, it will show you that we're committed to ending this war. And if it's not, you can do with us as you wish. A flicker of uncertainty crossed face, and for the first time, he appeared contemplative. A temporary alliance, then. We will investigate your claims together. But know this, if you deceive me, I will not hesitate to destroy you. The ambush unveiled. As dawn broke over the horizon, the first light of day illuminated the alien terrain, revealing a landscape of jagged rocks and dense foliage. Rourke and his team of Terrans marched alongside Kraggoth and his Vraxan soldiers, a mix of determination and caution in their hearts. They moved swiftly, knowing that time was of the essence. The ambush site was not far away. Stay alert, Rourke instructed, his voice steady but firm. We don't know what we'll encounter. If the intelligence is correct, they'll be expecting us. Kraggoth nodded, his eyes scanning the surroundings. You humans are more disciplined than I anticipated. Perhaps there is hope for this alliance after all. Rourke appreciated the compliment, even if it was laced with Vraxan skepticism. They had come too far to let doubt derail their mission. They trekked deeper into the alien terrain, the sound of their footsteps muffled by the thick underbrush. The closer they got to the ambush site, the more tension filled the air. Rourke could sense the anxiety radiating from his team. The stakes were high. Failure could mean annihilation for both species. After what felt like hours, they reached a vantage point overlooking a narrow valley. Rourke gestured for everyone to halt. They crouched behind a large boulder, peering down at the scene below. What they saw sent a chill down Rourke's spine. A group of enemy combatants, an amalgamation of various races, had gathered in the valley, preparing for the ambush. They wore mismatched armor and carried an array of weapons, a disorganized yet dangerous band of mercenaries. Rourke's heart raced as he noticed their focused attention on a narrow path, likely where they anticipated the Terran and Vraxan forces would come from. Those are the mercenaries we intercepted messages about, Hale whispered, her eyes wide with concern. They look ready for a fight. Kraggoth leaned in, his sharp gaze fixated on the enemy. They appear to be poorly coordinated. This may work to our advantage. If we strike swiftly, we can catch them off guard. Rourke nodded, his mind racing. We need a plan. If we just charge in, they'll overwhelm us. We should split into two teams, one to flank them from the left and the other to draw their fire from the right. That way, we can create confusion. Kragoth considered the proposal, a glimmer of respect in his eyes. Your strategy is sound, human. I will take my soldiers to the left. You and your team will draw their attention to the right. Rourke felt a surge of adrenaline. Let's do this. We fight for our survival and for a future freed from manipulation. They swiftly divided into two teams, moving quietly through the underbrush. Rourke felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him, but he also felt hope. They were no longer fighting alone. They were allies. Once they were in position, Rourke raised his hand, signaling his team to prepare. His heart pounded in his chest as he counted down silently. 3, 2, 1. Now, he shouted. With a fierce battle cry, Rourke and his team charged down the slope, firing their weapons into the air to create noise and distraction. The mercenaries looked up in surprise, momentarily disoriented. It was the opening they needed. At the same moment, Kragoth and his Vraxan warriors surged from the left, unleashing their own war cries. The two groups collided with the enemy, chaos erupting in an explosion of sound and fury. Rourke fought alongside his comrades, adrenaline coursing through him. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and the sounds of battle. The clash of metal, the crack of gunfire, and the cries of the wounded. In the chaos, he caught glimpses of Kragoth, fighting with an intensity that matched any Terran soldier. But the mercenaries, while disorganized, were still fierce. Rourke ducked behind a rock, narrowly avoiding a burst of fire aimed at him. He glanced over to see Hale taking cover as well, her face set with determination. "Stay close," he yelled, urging his team to regroup. They needed to keep each other safe amidst the chaos. Rourke spotted a group of mercenaries trying to flank Kragoth's forces. Without thinking, he rushed toward them, firing his weapon to divert their attention. "Over here, you scum," he shouted, drawing their fire. A mercenary turned, snarling, and charged toward him. Rourke fired, hitting him square in the chest. The mercenary crumpled to the ground, and Rourke felt a surge of relief. But he knew there was no time to celebrate. He had to keep moving. As the battle raged on, Rourke saw Kragoth fighting valiantly. The Vraxan commander swung his massive axe with precision, cutting down enemies with brutal efficiency. For a moment, Rourke admired the strength and prowess of his ally. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with. But just as Rourke felt a sense of victory rising within him, a shout rang out from the mercenaries. "Fall back! Fall back!" They yelled, their voices filled with panic. Rourke's heart sank. They were retreating, but something was off. He turned to see a larger figure emerging from the shadows behind the mercenaries, its features hidden in the chaos. An overwhelming sense of dread washed over him. "Something's wrong," Rourke shouted to his team. "Get ready for anything." The figure stepped forward, revealing itself to be a massive creature, a behemoth that towered over both Terrans and Vraxans alike. Its skin was a dark, mottled color, and its eyes glowed with an eerie light. The ground trembled beneath its feet as it charged toward them, a primal roar erupting from its throat. Rourke's heart raced as he faced the new threat. This was no ordinary enemy. It was a manifestation of the darkness that had plagued them all. He exchanged a glance with Kragoth, who nodded, his expression grim but resolute. Together, Rourke yelled, rallying his allies, "We will face this monster and emerge victorious." As they charged forward, Rourke realized this battle was far from over. Together, they would confront the nightmare lurking within the shadows, fighting not just for survival, but for a future forged in unity. The final stand. The ground shook as the monstrous creature charged forward, its massive bulk cutting through the chaos of the battlefield. Rourke's heart pounded in his chest as he took aim, his hand steady despite the terror coursing through him. He exchanged glances with Kragoth, who was already advancing, determination etched on his face. "Stick together," Rourke shouted to his team. "We need to distract it while Kragoth and his men flank from the side." As the beast drew nearer, Rourke felt the heat radiating from its body. It let out a bone-chilling roar that echoed across the battlefield, silencing the fighting for a moment. Fear gripped the hearts of many, but Rourke knew they couldn't falter now. "Hail, cover us," he yelled, moving forward with his weapon raised. She nodded, her face set in determination as she fired rounds into the creature's direction. Rourke moved alongside Kragoth and his Vraxan warriors, their eyes focused on the behemoth. The beast swung its massive arms, swatting away soldiers like they were mere insects. Rourke ducked as one of its limbs soared above him, narrowly missing him. "Now," Kragoth roared, gesturing to his warriors. They launched a coordinated attack, hurling their weapons and charging forward with unyielding resolve. The ground trembled as the Vraxans struck the creature's sides, but it was not enough to bring it down. Rourke knew they had to aim for its weak spots. Aim for the eyes. Hit it where it hurts, he shouted, desperate to keep morale high. As they closed in, Rourke noticed a glimmer beneath the creature's armor, an exposed patch of skin that seemed vulnerable. "There. Aim for that," he yelled, pointing it out to his comrades. Hale and Rourke fired simultaneously, hitting the exposed flesh. The creature let out a deafening roar, staggering backward. It shook its head violently, and Rourke seized the opportunity. "Follow me. We can do this." They charged forward as a unit, Kragoth leading the Vraxans and Rourke rallying the Terrans. The atmosphere was electric, the air thick with tension and hope. The beast reared back, preparing to unleash another roar, but before it could, Kragoth dashed forward, leaping onto the creature's back. The Vraxan commander struck down with his axe, aiming for the vulnerable spot Rourke had identified. The blade sunk deep into the creature's flesh, eliciting the guttural scream. "Now, everyone, strike," Rourke commanded, leading the charge. Soldiers from both sides surged forward, unleashing a barrage of firepower on the beast. The sound of gunfire mixed with the cries of battle filled the air as they fought with everything they had. The creature thrashed wildly, trying to shake off its attackers. Rourke ducked and dodged, keeping his eyes fixed on Kragoth, who was still clinging to the beast. The Vraxan's tenacity was inspiring. He was a symbol of what they could achieve together. Suddenly, the creature turned its gaze on Rourke, its eyes filled with fury. Time slowed as it charged towards him, but Rourke stood firm. He raised his weapon, aiming directly at the creature's head. "This ends now," he yelled, squeezing the trigger. The shot rang out, striking the creature squarely in the eye. It howled in agony, staggering back as Rourke's shot pierced through. Blood oozed from the wound, and the beast's cries turned into desperate roars of pain. Kragoth seized the moment, his axe glinting in the sunlight. "Now, brothers and sisters, for our future," he bellowed, rallying the Vraxans. They launched forward with renewed vigor, swarming the creature. Rourke took a deep breath, feeling the surge of adrenaline. He charged in with the others, feeling a sense of unity that had grown between the Terrans and Vraxans. They fought side by side, no longer divided by their differences, but united in their purpose. As they pressed the attack, Rourke realized that the beast was beginning to falter. It swayed, its massive body losing strength. With a final, desperate push, Rourke and Kragoth drove their weapons into the creature's vulnerable spots. With one last agonized roar, the creature collapsed, shaking the ground beneath them. Dust and debris rose into the air, engulfing the battlefield. Rourke stumbled back, catching his breath as he watched the beast finally succumb to their combined strength. The battlefield fell silent, the echoes of battle replaced by the heavy breathing of exhausted soldiers. Slowly, the realization of victory began to sink in. They had done it. They had defeated the creature that had threatened their lives and their future. Kragoth, battered but alive, approached Rourke. "You fought well, human. Together, we have proven that we can stand against any foe." Rourke smiled, a wave of relief washing over him. "We did this together, Kragoth. Our alliance is stronger than we ever imagined." Around them, Soldiers began to cheer, celebrating their hard-fought victory. Rourke felt a swell of pride. This moment was not just about survival. It was about unity and the promise of a brighter future. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the battlefield, Rourke turned to his comrades, both Terrans and Vraxans. They were bruised and weary, but they were alive. Let's gather our wounded and tend to the fallen. We have much to do, but today we have shown what we are capable of. With that, they set to work, united in purpose and driven by hope. The battle was over, but their journey was just beginning. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, forging a new path for their worlds, side by side.